A major diplomatic development is making headlines today, as U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner met with Vladimir Putin in Moscow for high-stakes talks aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. The meeting lasted several hours and has immediately become a focal point of international attention. According to officials, Witkoff and Kushner arrived in Moscow to present new American proposals designed to push both sides toward a possible settlement. Their visit comes at a critical moment, with fighting still ongoing and territorial disputes blocking any clear path to peace. Russian officials described the talks as constructive and substantive, noting that some U.S. suggestions were considered acceptable or open for further discussion. However, they also made it clear that major disagreements remain, especially on territorial conditions, which Russia still views as non-negotiable. During the discussions, the Russian side reportedly warned that interference from European countries could complicate or even derail the peace process. They emphasized that Russia would not accept any settlement terms pushed by outside parties that contradict its current military or political objectives. On the American side, Witkoff and Kushner pushed for a roadmap focused on de-escalation, humanitarian access, and long-term stability. But despite hours of conversation, no final agreement was reached. The envoys are expected to brief U.S. leadership on the results of the meeting in the coming days. The talks highlight just how difficult it remains to secure a lasting end to the conflict. With each side holding firm on key demands, progress is slow, and the gap between the two positions remains wide. Still, diplomatic engagement at this level signals that both Washington and Moscow recognize the urgency of finding a political solution. The world is now watching closely to see whether this meeting leads to further negotiations or whether the battlefield will continue to determine the next phase of the war. For now, the discussions are being viewed as an important step, but far from a breakthrough, in the long search for peace in Ukraine. More updates are expected as both governments release additional details.